Welcome, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for being with us tonight, and I'd like to again welcome you to our fourth meeting of 2021. At this time, we'll call our meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good, thank you. At this time, I'd like to, on behalf of the council and myself, welcome our new council person, Ms. Leah Mahoney. And at this time, Ms. Mahoney, we're going to swear you in, and then we will refer to you after that as Councilperson Mahoney. So at this time, if you're ready to take the oath, Jasper, you want me to lead the oath and then she'll repeat?
Mayor Kirby, what I would recommend is just have Leah read the words on the screen. I did send something to her as well, so she should have it. If she wants to just state what the oath is, that seemed to be the easiest.
That sounds good. Ms. Mahoney, welcome again, and at this time, I'll allow you to swear yourself in.
Great, thank you very much. Is the oath on the screen now? I didn't see it advance.
It is. I mean, I see it. Do you see it at all?
I must be having some connection issues this evening, but I do have it here because Jasper sent it in advance, so I can read what I have.
Very good.
Okay. I, Leah Mahoney, an appointed City Council member of the City of Sueur, do affirm that I will faithfully perform the duties of my elected office, and I will support and honor to the best of my ability all applicable laws of the City of Sueur County, and the Constitution of the United States and Minnesota, as well as any appropriate policies or procedures adopted by the Sueur City Council. I hereby, through this oath of office, affirm that I will perform the duties of this public trust in a fair, equitable, and ethical manner, befitting the dignity and responsibilities of the office to the best of my judgment and ability for my role on the Sueur City Council, as well as any boards, commissions, or other appointed positions.
Very good. Well, I'd like to be the first to congratulate you, Councilwoman Mahoney. That was very good, and welcome to the Sueur City Council. Looking forward to working with you, and we've got a good council here, so I think you're going to enjoy the work we do together. At this time, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Before
everybody's had an opportunity to look it over.
Mayor, before we approve this, I'd like to make a request that we move item 4C from the consent agenda to the regular agenda.
That would be infrastructure accountability resolution.
Correct.
Okay. Jasper, how do we go about moving that? We just pull it then for now, or do we vote on that?
Mayor Kirby, if I may, no vote is required. Any council member can pull any item off the consent agenda. It just gets added to the end of the regular agenda. So this would be moved to regular agenda item 6D, as in dog.
Okay, thank you. And you help me redirect on that if I miss that later, so, okay.
Yep.
Going back to the approval of the agenda then, removing item 4C, the infrastructure accountability resolution. Do we have a motion?
This is Krugman, so move.
Schluter, second.
Thank you, Councilmember Schluter. We've got a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion, comments? If not, I'll refer back to our city administrator, Mr. Krugel, for a roll.
Thank you, Mayor Kirby. I'll go Councilmember Krogman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney.
Aye.
Councilmember Schluter.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg.
Aye.
And Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda, all items on the consent agenda are considered routine and have been made available to the city council at least 2 days in advance of the meeting. These items will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the agenda and considered in normal sequence. With that said, we have the infrastructure accountability resolution that's been pulled from the consent agenda. And with that, I'll entertain any motions to pass the consent agenda.
Councilman Swanberg, so moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Swanberg. Do we have a second?
Schleter,
Sullivan.
second.
Councilmember Schleter seconded the motion. Any discussion, comments, concerns?
This is Councilmember Krugman. I believe that the city administrator was going to explain 3 items.
I'm sorry, if you would, please, Administrator Krugel. You want to
Yes,
review those items?
Yes, thank you, Member Krogman and Mayor Kirby. I'll just kind of do a rundown of these. So there were revised city council minutes that were sent out with a little change to one of the motions. You have disbursement approvals through February 8th, 2021. I want to talk about 4 items within there. We have our building official or building permit software of $30,560. That's an annual maintenance fee that we pay for that software so that we can track and provide building permits to the community, both in person and online. You will notice online there is a e-permits section now where you can get some of the basic permits online instead of having to wait for somebody to make contact with you. We have a payment of $7,000 to the Sueur County Drug Task Force. This is our 5th year that we've been enrolled in that task force, and they request the $7,000 payment every year. So that comes through every year about the same time. We had a disbursement of $17,017 to MMUA, which is the Minnesota Municipal Utility Association, which our electric department heavily relies on for trainings, annual trainings and support. And that's that annual fee for those members or those employees to be members in MMUA. And then I will mention we did have a PFA payment. It's the first half interest only payment for our wastewater treatment plant. There was one amount of $32,525. That was for the city of Le Sueur portion of that. And then there was one for $11,353.80. That, as a reminder, is related to the MRPUC dissolution agreements that we had with Henderson as far as how we treat their wastewater moving forward. And we take care of their PFA payment for the remainder of the loan. So those are the items for disbursements I wanted to point out. And then infrastructure accountability, that resolution has been pulled. LGA support resolution, that essentially says that the city of Le Sueur wants to still continue to receive local government aid. It really helps with operations. There's things that we wouldn't be able to do if we didn't get it. And we support and want to let our legislators know that we support it and that we rely on it, and that we would like to receive our LGA payments in a timely manner. This was requested through the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. The infrastructure accountability resolution that we'll talk about at the end of the regular agenda, that was something that we did pass last year about the same time, and the coalition, or the 169 coalition, requested that we adopt it again. And then the item E, the South Taxi Lane reconstruction authorization to bid. That's a continuation of the scope of services that was approved at City Council and recommended by the Airport Commission to go out to bid for the South Taxi Lane reconstruction project at the Le Sueur Municipal Airport. So that's my summary on the consent agenda. I hope it was helpful.
Sean, I believe you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I had somebody come in my door here. At this time, if nobody has any questions for our city administrator, I'll entertain a motion for approval of our consent agenda.
So
we already
moved, Sullivan.
Moved by,
I think
Mayor
Just-
Kirby. Oh, go ahead.
Uh,
So Mayor Kirby, this is Administrator Krugel. We do have a motion from Councilmember Swanberg and a second by Schleter to
Thank
approve
you.
the consent agenda. So we're on a
Thank-
second. We're at the discussion point. I think we can, if there isn't any more discussion, we could vote.
okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to you, Administrator Krugel. Take a roll call.
Thank you. Councilmember Krogman,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey,
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Aye.
Councilmember Schleter,
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg,
Aye.
and Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to public comment. If you wish to participate in public comment, you must sign up prior to the commencement of the meeting. Negative remarks about the city staff or employees is not allowed. You will have a time limit of 5 minutes to comment. The total public comment period shall be 30 minutes for non-agenda items and 30 minutes per agenda item. Disruptive and disorderly behavior will not be tolerated. Do we have anybody waiting for public comment, Administrator Krugel?
Mayor Kirby, I do not have anybody that is raising their hand. We do have 4 people in attendance tonight, and if any of one of those would like to participate in public comment, please hit the raise your hand button on the module for the GoToMeeting. I'll give them a couple more seconds, but I'm not seeing anybody raising their hand at the moment.
Very good. If we don't have anybody waiting for any type of comment, we can move on to the regular agenda. This time we'll move on to regular agenda item 6A, update city council board and commission appointments. As you all know, we have a new council person, and that'll change the balance of our commissions a little bit. And at this time, I'll let Administrator Krugel kind of review those with us.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Kirby. I have worked in conjunction with Mayor Kirby on this, as a couple of these positions are appointed by the mayor. Just a little summary, Leah Mahoney has been appointed to the city council. She has been sworn in tonight, so welcome aboard, Leah. That appointment has prompted the reassignment of some board and commission duties. Per the mayor appointing, Leah will be appointed to the planning commission, so replacing Newell Krogman. I know Newell's done a very good job on the planning commission, and I think Newell, you're planning on attending the meeting on the 10th, I believe, on Thursday. Is it the 10th or the 11th? At the next planning.
It's the 11th, and I've been invited to attend.
Yep.
So I will attend. Leah will also be there as the representative. They want me to give the report, and so I will attend only for that purpose.
Yep.
I report on the city council, excuse me.
And then also Leah will be the alternate to the Region 9 Development Commission. As a reminder, Councilmember Schleter is the primary for that commission. So tonight, what we're looking for is basically the RPAC, the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, requires council consent to appoint individuals to that committee. What we're looking for, and there's a little swap. Previously, Councilmember Sullivan was the city council representative. I believe Councilmember Lozey was the alternate. What we're doing is, what we're proposing is for Councilmember Mahoney to be the representative, and then Councilmember Sullivan would then move to the ex officio member as a city council representative. So that is the motion that we're looking for as from staff, as a motion to appoint Leah Mahoney as the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, city council representative, and also the vice chair of RPAC, and to appoint Marvin Sullivan as the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee ex officio city council member. That would round out all of the appointments for Councilmember Mahoney to move forward. And that's all I have. I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for our administrator? Anybody? The motion is in front of you. Our administrator reviewed it quite well. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilmember Krugman. I would so move.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilmember Krogman. We have a second.
Councilmember Lozey, second.
Thank you, Councilmember Lozey. We have it, motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any other further discussion? If not, I will turn it over to Administrator Krugel to take a roll call.
Thank you, Mayor Kirby. Councilmember Krogman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney.
Aye.
Councilmember Schleter.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg.
Aye.
And Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 6B, the CASA 36 order preliminary engineering report, feasibility study. If you want to give us a little review of that, Administrator Krugel.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kirby, members of City Council. As you may remember from the CASA 22 project, which is the 112 turnback, there's a series of steps that we have to follow to follow this Chapter 429 of Minnesota State Statutes, which is the process we have to follow so that we can assess properties, assess costs for these projects to property owners. So this step that we're in right now is to order the feasibility study. We do have City Engineer Corey Beanfang available to give a summary of this, and I will hand it over to him.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Thank you, Mr. Krugel. So as Jasper noted, this is the official first step in Chapter 429. There are a number of minimum requirements that must be met to make special assessments legally binding, and so this is the very first one. And really, it's a report to capture justification of the improvement, a documentation of the existing conditions, really supporting why we are moving forward with an infrastructure improvement project. It's to capture the preliminary engineer's estimate, so a preliminary project cost, to make sure that there's accountability to the affordability of the project, and just really that it's serving the best interests of the public. If you recall from CASA 22, it's a rather lengthy document with maps and graphics. And with this project, we'd be looking at getting in depth to the utilities as well to capture the feasibility of some of the things that we talked about previously with extension of mains and knowing properties that aren't currently served by the city. And the goal of this then is to be brought back to council then for final approval and acceptance. So tonight is just the ordering to allow for the preparation or the generation of that feasibility report. If you don't mind, Jasper. So then notably something in regards to the feasibility report, this is really specific to the city and the ability of the city to apply those assessments, but it also carries quite a bit of significance in the ability to bond for the municipal bond. And so a lot of times as part of that process, they look at the feasibility to be that justification and allowance for that bond. So one of the important things that you want to do is have an accurate capture of the project area. And so what is very familiar is the CSAH 36 portion, which is South Main Street. They're starting at the South City limit or 3rd Street and continuing up to Ferry. And also capturing Ferry, considered the CSAH 36 as well, from Main Street then up to 4th Street. And so we put together this graphic, and it just kind of captures, the completeness then of what that downtown grid would be following this 36 project, capturing the turn back there in the green, which was completed last year. The South Main Street Reconnect, which we talked about last meeting there in the cyan color, and then the magenta being this 36 project. And another thing that we're actively looking and we want to capture in this feasibility report is notably that west parking lot. Been working with Jasper here and with the South Main Street connection, we are going to be severing that north entrance to this parking lot. And I think we all can kind of collectively agree that that area's been neglected of maintenance and just the mindfulness of being in the area and the proximity to the rest of these projects. We'd like to capture a scope of improvements there as well as part of this feasibility report. So the report then would cover those 4 project areas. So a little bit greater than the county project, and not indicating that all of this would move forward, but we would like to bring that forward for consideration here as part of a potential overall big improvement. Estimated cost is a pretty close indication of what we've been talking about previously. I did modify this slightly to try to capture some of that potential city or local share there in the red. That 1 block of Ferry and that parking lot, those obviously are outside the scope of the county. So then we're looking just over, I think, $6.5 million total project cost here.
Mayor Kirby, can I interject real quickly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Corey, I don't know if you could touch base on just, us of the partnership we've kind of forged with the county, and also kind of the investment that both the county and the city have made in the community over over the next 3 years, including CSAH 22 and this CSAH 36 project. I mean, it's really unprecedented, the amount of participation from the county, participation from the city that we're seeing, and I think you're seeing it as a council member, and the residents are seeing it, and they will continue to see it for the foreseeable future, that for these road improvements, which have been a kind of a talking point for many since I've been here over the last 5 years, about just how poor the roads were in Sueur. So we've worked really hard in conjunction with the county to get some of these things done, and then just I wanted to acknowledge that without the county participation in this and them wanting to be a partner in our community, these projects wouldn't have happened. So a lot goes out to them for making this work out and partnering with the city.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jasper. If you don't mind going to the next slide. So then just a little capture on schedule that we just kind of touch base here. So order of the feasibility report would be identified tonight. I think we need about a little less than 2 months here to get that feasibility report to a level of accuracy and detail that I'd be hoping to convey, and to really allow a good assessment of the project cost and really the acceptance to move forward. At that accept feasibility report, that's also when the typical ordering of the first public hearing is initiated. That is a required step, is to have a public hearing based on the outcome or the results of feasibility report. We typically then like to structure a neighborhood open house prior to that, to allow a little bit more informal, a little bit more ability to kind of Q&A the outcome of that report with those folks immediately adjacent to the quarter. Generally, those are community-wide invites as well, but really emphasized to the properties that are directly adjacent to the project. And then we'd hold that hearing, that first hearing, that's done at a council meeting. And at that time, based on the feedback of the report, we'd be looking at ordering the design. That allows then to actually move forward with the engineering. We'd be looking at that summer, fall of this year. To allow for winter bidding. I think we identified with 22 that January, February is really a prime time to bid a project. That would be in the early part of 2022. and then staying true to our CIP and really the commitments that have been laid out that Jasper noted between city and county, that partnership, we'd be looking at construction then next summer. I do believe this project is constructible under 1 year, one season. At least at this time, it feels that it is. And then we'd be looking then at adopting those special assessments. And as part of that special assessment, there is then the assessment hearing, which for a few is probably somewhat memorable here, having just gone through that here this past fall. But we are intending to move forward with, I think, talking with Jasper, probably a post-construction assessment process. And so identifying that would be late summer, early fall of 22, nearing the end then of that construction phase. So a number of touch points, I think, if that's the one thing I can convey in 429, both here at the council level, but also with those in the community and most specifically those that are on the corridor.
Can I ask a real quick question? Probably more so for Mr. Krugel, if we could go back. We're going to hold this neighborhood open house in late March, and then in fall of 2022, we adopt the special assessment. During that neighborhood open house, do we kind of try to communicate to our citizens to kind of prepare them for these special assessments so it doesn't hit them in the fall of 2022 and catch them off guard? I mean, do we make that part of the education process for them?
Yeah, Mayor Kirby, if I may, we do. We let them know that we intend to assess for the project at that time. We generally just let them know about what the project extents are, so kind of that map that you saw earlier, and then what to expect, during construction. And looking at that, it is very disruptive. We really want to be able to continue to have them gain access to their property, but knowing that there will be, some challenges at some point in time during the construction project. So really establishing that channel of communication so that they know who to reach out to. We generally get to understand, like, who's on the corridor, if there's any special needs, that type of thing at that neighborhood or that open that neighborhood meeting, that first one. But also to note, when we do the assessment adoption, there will be meetings associated with that as well in 2022. So summer 2022, there will likely be a couple special assessment meetings just for those adjacent property owners. And we're likely going to be looking at doing a benefit appraisal for that. So the same process we went through on the North 2nd Street project and then the CASA 22 project, where they look at the value, the current value, and then they find comparable properties where a similar project has been held, and they come up with what the benefit is to the property. And that's it, just as a refresher, that's what we can assess based on state statute, is any benefit that those property owners receive. And there's all kinds of calculations. If you would like to see the benefit appraisal, I know it was in a past city council agenda packet. If anyone's interested in what that document actually looks like, I can email it, just reach out to me. But there will be multiple touch points for those adjacent property owners that would be receiving a special assessment. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jasper. So then really the ask tonight is to adopt, and it's via resolution to capture the formality here of these required 429 steps. So via resolution that is asking of the ordering of the preliminary engineering report for the CASA 36 South Main and Ferry Street Improvement Project.
Thank you. Engineer Bean Fang, anybody have any questions for our city engineer? Our city administrator, either? If not, we'll move forward with the recommendation and take a vote. The city council adopts R 2021-006, ordering the preliminary engineering report for CASA 36, which is the South Main and Ferry Street Improvement Project. If I could get a motion.
So moved.
Motion.
So moved, Member Sullivan.
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan. Have a second?
Lozey,
Mahoney will
second.
Ms. Mahoney, thank you very much. Seconded. Any discussion? Concerns, questions? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Administrator Krugel to take a vote.
I have a quick question. Can you
Please.
explain a little bit about the neighborhood engagement, how that's going to look occurring in March? Will be a mixed school, or do you anticipate having some in-person meetings? Because I imagine some people do not want to gather with people outside their family units right now.
Yep, Mayor Kirby, if I may, that's a very good question, and it'll likely be a real-time decision. You know, I think Corey and I can both agree that in-person meetings for this type of thing work better. In the past, we've done virtual meetings for the CSAT 22. You know, you can tell the engagement level isn't, I would say, as much of a quality as it is when you're in person. You don't get a lot of the questions and the back and forth and the just kind of casual conversations. So I would say there's a preference to do it in person. We'll obviously make that call at that time when we have to notice it and invite people in. There could be a hybrid. You know, we've talked about doing it in the fire department, the fire hall apparatus bay, where you can have some adequate spacing there, and then also have a piece where, you know, it could be recorded and people could participate online as well. Logistically, you know, there's just some challenges with some of the technology there. But really, I think we want to, if we can, have the meetings in person, but knowing what's going on right now and just people's comfort level, there'll likely be a component of a virtual meeting, but we will play it by ear, I guess, at that point in time, you know, depending on conditions around the region.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mahoney. That was a good question. I believe we had a motion made and it was seconded. I'll ask Administrator Krugel to take a roll.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Kirby. Councilmember Krogman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney.
Aye.
Councilmember Schleter.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg.
Aye.
And Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to a regular agenda item 6C, well number 8, study and design memo. Administrator Krugel.
Thank you, Mayor Kirby, members of City Council. Included in your agenda packet is a memo about the well number 8 study and the design memo. You'll see that part of our comprehensive water plan included a well, an additional well. We have some of our wells that aren't producing as well as they used to. And there is a need in the community to put in another well in order to provide the adequately provide water to the community. We do have Engineer Beanfang here, as well as Public Services Director Kachera to give the presentation on this. So whoever's, I'm not sure if Corey, if you're going to take this one, or if Rich is going to, but I'll hand it over to them.
Thank you, Administrator Krugel. This is Public Service Director Kachira. Yes, so well 8, that was part of the comprehensive water system plan that we discussed in City Council approved back in May of 2020. In that study, it was identified that the firm production capacity of the city was an issue. So the firm production capacity is taking out your largest producing well out of your equation and seeing if you can keep up with the system demand. So with that, we would have to remove well 7 from our equation, and we would be down to just over 1,100 gallons per minute when everything is operating at its peak. That does not give us adequate daily production to keep up with demand. So with that information, a new well was brought online, or new well concept was brought online. Through the discussion of a new well, we did go through the county well index. We looked at some wells within the city that show that they are not sealed. The data did not support any further investment into researching those wells. Excuse me. As those wells were of the age of our existing wells and older, and the production capacity and the quality standards of those wells was very unknown at the time. So you will see on the PowerPoint there, well number 3 was drilled in 1953. We averaged about 400 gallons a minute. Well number 5, 1968, about 320 gallons per minute. Well number 6, 1978, 400 gallons per minute. And well number 7, which is the newest well, 750 gallons per minute. The new well 8, you'll see on the slide there, is it's further away from the water treatment plant because we're trying to add to our capacity without limiting our capacity. So there will be some influence of well 7 and well 8 running at the same time. And to minimize the influence, because they're both pulling out of the same aquifer, the distance was a key to look at in this project. So by doing this, we are further down, we are maximizing our distance, but minimizing the installation of water mains to get this new well to the water treatment plant. Next slide, Jasper. So the schedule for this project, tonight we are at approved final design contract. So February, March, we would complete prelim and final design, submit plans to MDH at the end of March, and be bidding April area, and hopefully start construction later summer, early fall, with the completion of next year to bring it online, hopefully about the time the tower would be completed. Next slide, please. So with that, staff is looking for the council to approve the location of the new proposed well 8 and to approve the scope of service as provided from Bolton and Mink. And with that, I can answer questions, and Corey is online also, and he can answer questions.
I have a quick question for Director Kuchera. That new well we're going to put there, it's on Cedar Trail and Kingsway, I believe. Is the building itself going to be any type of problem for traffic coming off of Cedar Trail on the Kingsway?
Yes, Mayor Kirby. No, it will not. It will be set back. It will meet all the setback requirements. And on the map, it shows it in the corner. It won't be in the corner. There is a lot of fiber optic that goes to that tower. The county has a lot of fiber. Jaguar has a lot of fiber. There's a lot of infrastructure in that intersection on that side. So this will have to get slid to the north, and I call north and east a little bit to clear the line of sight, but mainly to get away from all the infrastructure that is currently in the ground.
Thank you.
Mayor, this is Member Schleter.
Yeah, please.
Couple questions for Rich. First, you had said that well 8 is going to impact the draw of well 7 somewhat if they're both running at the same time. Currently, you're projecting they can each pull 750. What would a reasonable number be if they're both running at capacity at the same time?
Yes, Councilmember Schleter. I will ask Corey to confirm, but I believe our preliminary data is showing us to be able to run about 600 to 650 gallons per minute off of both would be 7 and the new well 8. Corey, can you verify?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And the second question, it looks like we're going to be pulling more water out of the Simon Aquifer. Is that going to affect our treatment at all of the water that we're mixing.
Thank you, Councilmember Schluter. No, that will not. That water, our plant was designed for 1,500 gallons per minute. There's many different stages in our water treatment facility that are built to that capacity. The first stage, obviously, being the aeration. It comes into the plant, it has to be aerated. So that aerator has a capacity of 1,500 gallons per minute. It gets through the aerator, it gets through a chemical precipitation, where the chemical system and the mixing tank is only sized to do 1,500 gallons per minute. So all this, the closer we can get to the 1,500 gallons per minute, the more we are optimizing our water treatment facility. And when the day comes we have to look over that 1,500 gallons per minute, we will need to look at expansion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Otherwise, we can move on to the recommendation. We're on agenda item 6C, of course. Staff is recommending the following. The City Council approve the location for the new proposed well 8 and the attached proposal for scope of work from Bolton and Mink. If I could get a motion made, please.
Councilman Lozey, so moved.
Councilmember Lozey, thank you. Seconded?
It's Councilmember Krogman, so second.
Thank you, Councilmember Krogman, for seconding that motion. Any other comments, concerns? Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Administrator Krugel to take a roll of the council.
Thank you, Mayor Kirby. We'll go Councilmember Krogman,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey,
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Aye.
Councilmember Schluter,
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg,
Aye.
and Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to circle back then to regular agenda item 6D, Infrastructure Accountability Resolution. You want to review that for us, Mr. Krugel?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Kirby. This resolution came to the city as part of a request from the coalition of the 169 coalition. And it's also an issue for the League of Minnesota Cities. So in your packet, you can see the fact sheet about this accountability resolution. And basically what it says is that right now, under the current law, we're not able to assess for any streets or infrastructure that is outside of the actual development area. And what this would do is to say, well, let's say a development would occur somewhere in town. Well, obviously there's streets that are required to get people in and out of that development, and there's wear and tear on those streets because of that. Right now, we cannot do any assessment or capturing of any revenues for that from the developer. And really that's important in certain situations. You know, we as Sueur, we don't have that happening very frequently, but when it does, it would be good to get some of those dollars, you know, for some of that use on these other infrastructure that we have in the community. What this really is it's an item. Both the 169 Corridor Coalition recommends that we support this. League of Minnesota Cities recommends, and really there's other communities that this affects a lot more, but it also could affect Sueur in the future. But it's really about you know, supporting those organizations and really you know, giving word from Sueur that we think it's an issue too, and we want to support it. So I don't know if there's anything I missed. I know Councilmember Schluter is on the 169 Corridor Coalition where this request originated from, and he also pulled it. So I don't know if there's anything I missed, Councilmember Schluter, if you would like to add.
Oh, yes, I'm on 169, but I just wanted to bring this forward because I do have a few issues with it. I think it's probably a good idea for those cities and areas that developers are already fighting to get into. But I feel that we need incentives to bring developers here to help us grow. And I don't feel this is an incentive for a developer to come to Sueur, and I don't think it'll benefit us. We can negotiate many things when a developer is looking at a project here, and imposing this would just drive them away from looking at Sueur. Also, we just implemented our transportation plan into our comprehensive plan. So I don't see how a developer could put something through that would fit into the problem area that this bill puts forward. I just wanted to point those things out before we actually take a vote on this separate.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilmember Krogman. May I speak to this?
Yeah, please do.
In a strange way, it behooves us to pass it. Because if it passes at the state level, communities that do charge it to the developer will lose out. We don't have to do it. If this passes at the state level, it's our option whether or not we ask or require a developer to contribute. So it gives us the full option where if other communities are doing it, we may come out ahead.
So, Councilmember Krogman, what you're saying is this just gives us a little latitude. We don't necessarily have to enforce it.
That's how I read it.
And this is Administrator Krugel. This is also recommended by the Coalition of Minnesota in the League of Minnesota.
So I misspoke at first. I said Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, and I meant League of Minnesota Cities. So I do not know if CGMC also supports this. I believe they did last year, but I may be incorrect. But I know for sure the 169 Corridor Coalition is recommending the adoption of this, and also League of Minnesota Cities, which I brought that fact sheet over. And Councilmember Krogman is correct that this doesn't mean that we're going to establish a fee for this, but we do have that choice. We have the choice for all of our fees. But what this does is it would show support for this, and if that House and Senate bill, if they would both pass, then if a city chose, they could. And Councilmember Krogman, I think, is spot on in saying that. Well, if somebody else has additional development fees, that might put us at an advantage too. We just don't know because right now it's they can't. There aren't any of these additional fees that are placed on the developers in other communities. So and I think Councilmember Schleter has some very valid points. We don't want to create an atmosphere where we put ourselves at a disadvantage. But just so you know, from my perspective, when negotiating with a developer, we could use that to somewhat of an advantage, even though we don't really intend potentially to have these fees. That's something that we can say, well, we don't have these fees. We could have these fees for infrastructure, but we don't have that, and maybe we'll get something else or get something else out of it. So it could be a negotiation tool as well, or a negotiation chip for a future developer as well. So it is a city council decision if they would like to support it. I will mention that back in April of 2020, this essentially same resolution was adopted by City Council.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilmember Krogman. One other point.
Yes.
We don't want to get ourselves in a position where we could not do a development. We may wind up in a situation where, because the city could not afford to bring in the infrastructure, we'd have to not be able to do a project. This would possibly give us an option, perhaps not charging a full amount, so to speak, to a developer, but at least having the developer contribute something so that we could go forward with a project. My bottom line is this gives us flexibility if it passes. And keep in mind, we're making a recommendation that this be passed by the House and the Senate. And of course, ultimately, the governor would have to approve it also. So.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Krogman. And also Councilmember Schleter, good points brought up. Anybody else? Otherwise, we can look at the action requested. the infrastructure accountability resolution, item number 6D. We have the recommendation from the staff.
Yep, sorry, I did not,
I could read it here, I have it here too.
But this is Resolution R 2021-007, resolution supporting infrastructure accountability was the resolution included in the packet. That would be the resolution that should be considered if somebody would like to move for it.
Thank you. Resolution R 2021-007. Can I get a motion?
Mayor Kirby, Member Sullivan.
Yes, sir.
I would
Thank
go ahead
you.
and make the motion to approve this.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sullivan. Do we have a second?
Councilman Swanberg, second.
Thank you, Councilmember Swanberg. Any other discussion? If not, I'll turn it over to our Administrator Krugel.
Thank you, Mayor Kirby.
Thank you.
Councilmember Krogman,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozey.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Aye.
Councilmember Schleter,
No.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember Swanberg,
Aye.
and Mayor Kirby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Our last item back from popular demand, comments, reports, items of appreciation. What I would like to do is just kind of go through all of our council people, and if you've got something you'd like to share with all of us, this is your time to do so. So if it's okay, we'll start with the top, and we'll start with Councilmember Krugman. Do you have anything for us tonight?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Fellow council members, citizens of Sueur, I guess, also are interested in this. On the 27th of January, Councilmember Schleter and I attended the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, commonly called CGMC. It took me about 4 years to know what those initials meant and say them smoothly. We met with them and they gave us briefings. We were meeting with representatives from Greater Minnesota cities throughout Minnesota. We were briefed on various issues, in particular on things that the coalition is going to pursue this year. For example, they're going to advocate for local government aid, certain things involving the environment, and also for childcare assistance for cities and communities. Also with regard to transportation, to provide some funding for cities with regard to streets. Following that meeting, by the way, each week this month, they're going to emphasize something. This was the local government aid, or LGA, that was emphasized this week or last week. This week, I believe, is childcare. That afternoon, Councilmember Schleter and I met online Zoom meeting with our Representative Farr and Senator Graham, and our emphasis was on local government aid, making sure that they knew that we need that, we want it. It is very helpful to having a vibrant community for us. We met with them about a thing called PFAS, PFAS, which is a chemical that can get into the water system, but once it's there, it cannot be taken out of wastewater. And there's some move afoot to hold cities responsible for the cost of what this is doing, where the cities are not responsible for putting it in the water. It's industrial applications that do it. It is a way, there are ways to keep it out of the water initially, but once it's in, you can't get it out. So we talked to them about that. Then we also talked to them about any aid we can get for streets and sidewalks within the city would be important. And finally, we talked to them about a thing, I'm going to try to explain this very generally. It's commonly called unfunded mandates. These would be requirements that the state imposes on a city or a county, but in particular us, a city, that they don't pay for. They make us do something, but they don't give us the funding. So it basically puts a negative into our budget. We simply, in generic terms, advocated for not having any unfunded mandates. An example was given to us about a year ago at a council meeting when Captain Tiki came in and talked about how in child abuse cases, I believe that's the correct term, child abuse. It may not be the exact term, but in child protection, I think is what he used. We are now required at the local level to do investigations that used to be done at a different level of government, which means that our police force is being tasked by having them spend a very large amount of time doing these investigations and background checks where they can't be on the beat, so to speak, or serving in other ways. And that's an example of an unfunded mandate. So we simply discussed that with our senator and with our representative. We had very cordial meetings with them. We're very appreciative for their time. They were very responsive. And if I can, I'll ask Councilmember Schlueter if there's anything else he wants to add to that. I've tried to keep it as broad brushed as I could, but Councilmember Schlueter, do you have anything you want to add to what I've said?
Just that Senator Graham did comment about our community center, how he uses it for hockey, and it's good to have local representative are on board now.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Krogman and Schlueter, thank you for your legislative work you've done and all the advocating you do for our community. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Moving on to Councilmember Lozey. Do you have anything you want to share tonight?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilmember Lozey. Councilmember Mahoney, anything you'd like to share with us tonight?
No, I don't have anything to share, but I just really appreciate being given the opportunity to be appointed to this council.
Thank you. We're delighted to have you. Delighted to have you. Moving on to Councilmember Schlueter. Anything you'd like to share?
A couple other things. Another 169 meeting on February 1st. The 169 Coalition had their legislative action day. And basically it was just a recap and presentation of the priorities to state legislators about everything that I talked about at our last meeting. Then Region 9 development. Sueur is getting back a rotating seat for the small cities under 10,000 population. It was last held when Bob Broder was on the council. And I had my orientation meeting with the executive director on Wednesday. The HRA meeting is coming up on Wednesday, the 17th, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Schlueter. Councilmember Sullivan, do you have anything you'd like to share tonight?
Start by just welcoming Leah to the council. RPAC, we did cancel this month just because all the changes that were happening and business going on in the city. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sullivan. Councilmember Swanberg, anything you'd like to share tonight?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Swanberg. As far as anything I might have, I don't have anything to add tonight other than I would like to ask Administrator Krugel, and maybe this is what you were going to finish with, a little bit of review on what we have to look forward to on Wednesday night.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Kirby. As Mayor Kirby alluded to, we do have a retreat on Wednesday night from 5 p.m. And we think it'll probably be about an hour long, or sorry, 3 hours long. There are 4 agenda items on there. One being just some keyed in questions about our city code related to sewer and water connections. Next, we have a discussion about the Sueur Community Center and kind of kicking off that planning process, really related to the indoor pool, but the facility as a whole. Have a discussion about that and how we want to move forward with some planning for that facility. And then we have some park project prioritization. So in the packet, going through items that are identified in our park plan and then kind of putting a priority on them so that it gives staff some direction as far as how we should approach grant opportunities. And then lastly, a goal setting exercise. So looking at our goals over the biennium, the next 2 years, and really dialing it in and talking about those and adopting and eventually adopting those goals at a city council meeting. And those really give me the direction on what we're going to be doing as a city, and then I pass that along to my staff. So, we're trying to do it a little bit differently than what we've done in the past, and kind of in a truncated form. And I'll leave it up to city council to decide if there's an additional need to have an additional meeting or additional agenda items. The planning commission, RPAC, and the EDA, they have all been invited to come to the meeting and listen in. We'll see how it goes. We haven't done it in this format. We're kind of trying to adapt to the current conditions that are out there. And I think we have a good solid agenda, and we'll go from there. So I'm looking forward to it, and it should be we should have some good discussions on Wednesday night. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Administrator Krugel. Just real quick, I know I've mentioned this before, some of our newer council members. In the past, we used to do this on a Saturday. And refresh my memory, any of you older council members who've been on the council for a while, this is usually an all-day affair. It usually starts at like 8 in the morning. We usually get done by 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So if we can condense this on Wednesday to 3 hours and keep everything moving along, we'll just kind of take it as it comes and kind of see where we're at when we're at the end of the day and decide whether we need more time to put everything together. But I think we'll get a lot done on Wednesday night. So I'm just going to ask for everybody's patience, and I'll see you all at 5 o'clock on Wednesday night then. With that said, I will entertain any motions for an adjournment.
Councilman Lozey.
Council Member Swanberg and Council Member Lozey, first and seconded. Any other discussion, comments? Otherwise, we'll do this in one swift vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I didn't think so. We'll see you all on Wednesday. Thanks for your time tonight. And again, Leah, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.